Welcome to Crushed Husband. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin. She stepped into the chopper like it was a fashion runway, laughing loud enough to make sure I heard her from the dirt patch they called a parking lot. Wind kicked up gravel and my jacket flapped against my arms, but Miranda Thorne didn't flinch. She turned, sunglasses sliding down her nose, just enough to flash me that smirk. That same smirk she used when we closed our first joint deal, and later, when she told me she wasn't ready for marriage, right after the engagement party I paid for. "Change of plans, babe," she shouted over the rotor. "It's a girls-only branding retreat now, influencer exclusive. You get it, right?" She didn't wait for an answer, just tossed her ponytail, turned her back, and climbed in with her little squad of wannabe lifestyle icons. All glossed lips and fake gratitude. I stood there, jaw tight. Hands in my jeans. The lodge was supposed to be our anniversary getaway, her idea. "We'll co-create the weekend," she said. "No cameras, just us." Turns out, just us meant Miranda, her new assistant, 2 TikTok foodies, a wellness coach with a spray tan, and 0 mention of me. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? The pilot gave me a look, awkward, almost apologetic, before closing the door. Then the blades roared up and the whole chopper lifted, kicking dust in my face as it rose into the sky. I didn't wave, didn't call out, didn't flinch. Instead, I walked back across the lot, past the broken fencing and patchy gravel to the charter terminal. My boots crunched over the rocks. The guy at the front desk raised an eyebrow when I stepped in. "You still headed up the mountain, sir?" "No," I said. "One way to the coast." He blinked. "You want commercial or private seat?" "Private, now." I handed over my card and didn't even check the price. The assistant behind the desk tapped a few keys and nodded. "We can get you in the air in 20. Outside, the chopper shrank into a dot over the hills. I pulled out my phone, opened the email draft I'd been holding for 2 months, the one with legal language for formal business dissolution, and hit send. Subject line, Hayes Thorne Media LLC, transition and exit. The moment it hit her inbox, I felt something snap loose in my chest. I didn't text her, didn't look back. When the flight crew called my name, I stepped onto the tarmac, boarded my own small plane, and left her behind for good. The plane touched down just after sunset, wheels skimming the narrow coastal runway like they weren't sure if they wanted to land. Out the window, the Pacific looked like molten glass under the fading orange light, stretching out past a line of crooked pine trees. I hadn't been here since college, Seabreak, Oregon. Miranda used to call it quaint and pointless, the kind of place she swore would kill her Wi-Fi and her will to live. That sounded perfect. I stepped off the plane, no bags except the one slung over my shoulder, mostly chargers, cables, and a few changes of clothes I threw in last minute. The coastal wind hit immediately, sharp with salt and pine resin, not like the canned stage breeze of her usual wellness retreats. This was real air. My phone buzzed before I even cleared the tarmac. Miranda, 6:12 p.m. That was cute. 6:13 p.m. Are you serious right now? 6:14 p.m. Leon, answer me. 6:16 p.m. Is this about the chopper thing? 6:17 p.m. You're being dramatic. 6:20 p.m. Call me, now. 6:23 p.m. Leon, I swear to God, if you're ghosting me during a launch week. I muted her thread, not deleted, just silenced. I wasn't ready to erase her yet, but I damn sure wasn't answering. I walked past the tiny rental kiosk and toward the road. Half a mile down was the Sandridge Inn, still exactly where I remembered it. Beige paint, 2 stories, white trim flaking from the porch railings. It looked like a place built before hashtags and never updated. The lobby bell rang when I walked in. A woman around 50 looked up from behind the desk and smiled politely. "Checking in?" "Yeah, 1 room, just for me." She typed something slowly, then asked, "Last name?" "Hayes." She handed me a key card, actual plastic, not some app-linked nightmare. "Breakfast from 6 to 10. Wi-Fi's average. Beach access is right past the fence." "I'm not here for the Wi-Fi," I said. The room was small. 1 bed, wooden dresser, ocean outside the back window. No curated welcome basket. No mood lighting. I tossed my bag on the bed, then sat down, pulling open the side zipper pocket. I hadn't touched the sketchbook in years. It was leather-bound, dark brown, corners a little scuffed from being shoved around in storage bins. Miranda gave it to me after we hit our first six-figure campaign together. "You need a creative outlet," she said. "Something not tied to work." She meant well, I think. But then she kept me so buried in content deadlines and analytics dashboards that I never even opened it. Until now. I sat at the small desk facing the window, watching the surf roll in against the dark shore. I grabbed the nearest pen I had, a ballpoint from some hotel in Atlanta, and opened to the first blank page. The paper crackled, clean, untouched. I wrote 4 words, all caps, "Leon Shoreline, not hers." I stared at it for a second. Not deep, not poetic, just true. Then I flipped the page and kept writing. Not sentences, just fragments. Names of places, images I wanted to shoot, lines of half-formed ideas that had been stuck in my head for years. Buzz. Another message lit up my phone screen. Miranda, 6:41 p.m. "You're making a mistake." I tossed the phone onto the bed without reading the rest. Outside, someone strummed a guitar near the beach trail. The smell of bonfire smoke and ocean carried through the window screen. For once, I didn't have to post about it, didn't have to film a slow-motion pan or worry about the golden hour. I didn't owe anyone a damn thing. The next afternoon, I walked down to the strip near the boardwalk. Sun was high, tourists low. The smell of fried shrimp and old grease hung in the air like a memory. I wasn't hungry, but I needed something to do with my hands. And staring at my phone wasn't it. I stopped at a food truck parked just off the beach. Fish Fry Friday was slapped across the side in crooked vinyl lettering. Looked like it hadn't moved in years. I ordered a cod basket and stepped to the side to wait. "Leon Hayes?" a voice said behind me. I turned, already bracing for someone who thought I still worked PR. Instead, it was Darren Finch, slick polo, mirrored sunglasses, same crooked posture like his shoulders had never agreed with each other. I hadn't seen him in at least 4 years. "Didn't expect to find you this far off brand," he said, smirking. "Didn't expect to be found at all." He pulled his sunglasses off. Word travels fast when it's messy enough. Heard about the chopper. Damn. I shrugged. Didn't throw her out, just didn't go with her. "She's calling it a temporary solo campaign pivot," he said. Translation, she's spinning. "You still tracking her moves?" I asked. "Only when they overlap with mine," which... He reached into his back pocket and pulled out a folded piece of cardstock. "They do." He held out a black and gold ticket. My name wasn't on it, but I already knew what it was. "The Expo," I said flatly. "Right here in town. She's headlining," he confirmed. "But I've got a booth. So do 5 other companies that used to fund her before she got greedy." I didn't take the ticket yet. "You were out before the real storm," I said. "Smart man?" Darren snorted. "Nah, I stayed too long. Watched her turn everything personal into product. Thought I could keep her grounded. Turns out she was just drilling through the floor." The food truck guy called my name. I took the basket, but didn't eat. Darren leaned against the counter, his tone shifting. "You know she's been scrubbing your name from everything, right? The early decks, pitch videos, the first campaigns. Gone. To hear her tell it, you were support staff. Background, a guy with a ring box and no ambition." I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. "She's rewritten your story, Leon. Maybe it's time you wrote it back." I finally took the ticket from his hand. It felt heavier than paper should. "I'm not your revenge play, Darren." "Didn't say you were," he said. "I'm just offering a chair at the table. You decide what you bring." He gave a casual nod and walked off, hands in his pockets like he hadn't just lobbed a grenade into my day. I sat down on the bench near the truck, grease seeping through the cardboard into my palm. Didn't touch the food, just stared at the expo pass. There was a part of me that wanted to rip it up. Another part wanted to walk in, pull the mic, and tell the crowd everything she left out. Instead, I folded the ticket once, then again, and slid it into my wallet. Didn't mean I was going. Didn't mean I wasn't. It just meant I had the choice. And damn, that felt good. I left the expo pass in my wallet and grabbed my camera from the room. The shoreline stretched wide and open. No product shots, no models twirling in maxi dresses, no branding checklist taped to the back of my lens cap. Just sky, sand, driftwood, and quiet. The good kind. I started snapping. Not for likes. Just to remember what it felt like to shoot without someone standing over my shoulder, asking if it was on brand. A rusted fishing boat half buried in sand. A gull dragging a snack wrapper like it owed him money. A little boy running full speed into the waves, no backup plan. A couple passed me near the tide line. The woman slowed and nodded toward my camera. "You a photographer?" "Just for myself," I said. The words felt weird in my mouth. Not a lie, just new. She smiled. Nice to see someone doing it for real again. Then they kept walking. Farther down, near the pier, I spotted a crooked A-frame sign out front of a narrow building. Community Art Show. Local Visions. It looked homemade, barely standing. I walked in anyway. The place was small, one long hallway with pieces hung edge to edge. Some were digital, others painted or mixed media. Raw stuff. Honest. Not polished for mass consumption. A glitchy self-portrait caught my eye. Heavy shadows, fragmented edges, printed on torn canvas and stitched back together. It stopped me. "Yeah," a voice said behind me. "That one scares some people." I turned and saw a woman in jeans and a black tee, short brown hair tucked behind one ear. She had paint under her nails and no time for small talk. "You make this?" I asked. "I did. Tessa Lang." "Leon Hayes." She raised an eyebrow. "That name's vaguely familiar. Probably from the wrong places." "Probably," she said, not unkindly. "But you're here, so maybe not." I nodded toward the portrait. "There's something in it, like it's breaking and holding itself together at the same time." "That's the goal," she said. "You shoot?" "Used to be my job. Now I'm trying to remember why I liked it." Tessa studied me for a second. Not flirty, not skeptical, just reading the room. "I'm running a workshop tomorrow. Nothing formal, just people trying stuff. You should come." I hesitated. "What kind of stuff?" "Digital deconstruction. You bring an image, we tear it apart, rebuild something real out of it. Ugly's welcome." I looked around at the walls again. It wasn't curated. It was alive. "I don't usually do groups," I said. "Neither do I," she replied. "That's why I started running them." "Fair enough." She pulled a flyer from a stack and held it out. "No pressure. Just show up if you're not too busy being vaguely familiar." I took the flyer. Simple text, no brand colors. "I'll think about it," I said. "You already are." She walked off to talk to someone adjusting a frame on the far wall. I stood there another few minutes, then stepped back outside. The wind had picked up, carrying ocean mist and something else I hadn't felt in years. Possibility. The next morning, I showed up with black coffee, no expectations, and the folder of shoreline shots tucked under my arm. Tessa's workshop was held in the back room of the gallery, bare walls, folding chairs, an old projector humming like it was halfway to retirement. 6 other people were already there, each with a laptop, tablet, or sketch pad open in front of them. No one said much. Tessa glanced up when I walked in. "Hey, you came." "Didn't talk myself out of it fast enough," I said, grabbing an empty seat near the corner. She smirked. "Today's about identity, deconstruction and reconstruction through digital layers, the self, pulled apart and put back together. Not prettier, just more honest." Everyone nodded like they were already deep in it. I opened my laptop, hands stiff. This wasn't my usual scene. No timelines, no deliverables, no client waiting on final approval. Tessa clicked a remote. A glitchy face flickered across the projector. "Start with a piece that's supposed to represent you, or how others made you represent yourself. Rip it open. Then build something truer." That's when I opened the old PR folder, a photo Miranda used on nearly every early press kit. Her in front, spotlight perfect. Me off to the side, slightly blurred, holding a tray of product samples like a stagehand waiting for my cue. I didn't remember posing for it. I doubt she asked. I dropped it into the workspace and started slicing. First, her face. Gone. Then I pulled the exposure down on everything except my blurred outline. I sharpened the edges, increased the contrast, yanked myself into focus like I was dragging a ghost forward. Someone beside me leaned over. "That you?" "Yeah, it was." A few more layers, overlays from the beach photos I took. A washed-up rope coil, cracked shells, driftwood bleached white. I warped them into texture, used them to patch over the hollow spots in the original image. Covered the branded product entirely. The more I tore it apart, the clearer it got. I wasn't the sidekick. I was the damn structure holding the whole thing up. Tessa circled the room, watching people work. She paused behind me. Didn't say anything at first, just looked. Then gave a slow, quiet nod. "You've done this before," she said. "Not like this," I said. "Looks like you've been waiting to." I kept working. I inverted the last layer, turned the background black, let the color bleed out of her silhouette until it dissolved completely. Then I dragged the beach into the space where she used to be. Soft blues, sharp lines, open sky. Another attendee glanced over and gave a thumbs up. "That's sick." I didn't know what to say, so I just kept editing. Smoothing, letting it breathe. Tessa crouched next to my chair. "What do you want to call it?" I hadn't thought about that. I looked at the screen, the version of me that was finally centered, still rough, but real. "No title yet," I said, "but it's mine." She smiled, stood up, and walked on. By the time the session wrapped, I had something that wasn't a campaign, wasn't a strategy, wasn't tied to a launch or a brand partner or a client brief. It was just me. No corporate gloss, no blur, no placeholder. For the first time in years, I hit export and meant it. I walked into the expo dinner wearing the only blazer I packed. No tie, no branding pin, no fake charm. Just me and the pass Darren gave me, still creased from my wallet. The ballroom looked like a showroom, and a reality TV set had a baby. Chrome chairs, glass-top tables, backlit panels glowing soft blue. Everyone buzzed in curated clusters. Tech media, influencers, brand founders sipping overpriced cocktails and checking for angles. Her name was still everywhere. Keynote speaker, Miranda Thorne, vision, voice, victory. I grabbed a seat near the back. No one recognized me yet, which was fine. Better, actually. Then Darren spotted me. He broke away from a group of execs and walked over, grinning like he already knew something was about to catch fire. "Glad you came," he said, clapping my shoulder. "You look unbothered." "Working on it," he gestured toward the main floor. "You ready to meet the real gatekeepers?" "Not here to pitch anything." "Good," he said. "You don't have to." He motioned for me to follow. We weaved through the crowd until we hit a table full of execs. Clean watches, stiffer handshakes, sharp smiles that looked too polished for sincerity. "This," Darren said, loud enough to get their attention, "is Leon Hayes, the actual architect behind Thorne's early branding playbook. If you've ever reposted one of her launch visuals from the first 2 years, odds are he made it." One of the guys blinked. "Seriously? I thought she—" "Nope," Darren cut in. "She starred in it. He built it." They all turned toward me, suddenly more interested. Someone handed me a business card before I said a word. Another leaned in. "You still in the game, Leon?" I shrugged. "Depends which game we're talking about." The conversation picked up fast. People tossing questions, recalling early campaigns, asking what I was working on now. I gave them just enough to hold their attention without handing them the whole story. Halfway through my drink, the MC took the mic and tapped it twice. "Evening, everyone. Before we roll into the keynote, we want to take a quick moment to recognize someone who's been instrumental to a brand many of you know, but whose name rarely made the credits." My stomach dropped. We're talking about a man whose early visual strategy, tone, and content execution helped shape one of the most followed lifestyle brands of the last decade. People started looking around. Someone at my table leaned over. "Is this about you?" "Leon Hayes," the MC announced. "We're glad you're here tonight. This industry's built on ideas, and some of the best ones start behind the scenes. Not anymore." Applause broke. Not polite golf claps, real applause. I didn't stand, just nodded, kept my hands in my lap. But inside, something cracked open. A little disbelief, a little justice. Darren leaned close. She's going to have a meltdown. Hasn't even walked in yet, I said. She'll feel the shift before she sees it. And sure enough, 2 minutes later, Miranda walked in. Hair done, dress sharp, lips set. She didn't spot me at first. Her entourage flanked her like props, and the whole room twisted slightly, energy shifting with her entrance. But not toward her this time. People weren't racing to greet her. They were still turned toward me. She paused halfway across the floor, eyes narrowing. I didn't wave, didn't blink. Darren grinned wide. Tables turned, man. That seat's yours now. I didn't move, didn't gloat. Let her watch. I sat on a bench by the bay the next morning, sipping bitter coffee from a paper cup that was already going soft at the bottom. The harbor moved slow, early boats drifting out, gulls circling trash bins, air thick with salt and seaweed. I hadn't checked my phone since sunrise. Figured if something burned down, someone would knock on my door. Eventually, I looked. Miranda, 7:02 a.m. Can we talk? Just that. No emojis, no voice note, no drama punctuation. I stared at it for a while. My thumb hovered over the screen. I should have ignored it. I knew better. But I didn't. Me, 7:14 a.m. 1 hour, Harbor Cafe. Neutral ground, public. Close enough I could walk. She showed up 20 minutes late. Hair curled soft, makeup barely there, like she was trying to look off-duty. The kind of look she used to rehearse before big meetings, disarming on purpose. She slid into the seat across from me, without a greeting, like we were picking up mid-scene. You embarrassed me. I didn't blink. No, you exposed yourself. I just stopped covering for you. Her jaw tightened. You could have pulled me aside. We could have handled it privately. You made it public when you erased me from your own brand, I said. Now it's just balanced. She shifted in her seat, trying to regain ground. This doesn't have to be a war, Leon. I get it. You want recognition? Fine. Let's figure something out. There's nothing to figure out, I said. You built a business on a lie. I walked away from it. I created the vision, she snapped. You helped, but I carried it. You carried the spotlight, I carried the work. That landed. She glanced away. You think anyone else would have made you what you are now? I'm not made by you, Miranda. I'm not yours to name. She tried a softer tone. You and I, we were unstoppable. You know that, right? We built something out of nothing. That kind of connection doesn't just vanish. It does when one person sells it and the other gets airbrushed out. She leaned forward, elbows on the table. Leon, if you're doing this for revenge, I cut her off. If I wanted revenge, I'd be giving interviews right now. You don't get it. I don't need to ruin you. I just don't owe you silence anymore. The flattery came next. You were brilliant. You still are. You've always had that edge, that eye. You just didn't know how to package it without me. I laughed once, sharp. You really believe that? She went quiet, recalculating. I pulled a card from my wallet, simple white stock, my lawyer's name and number on the front, and slid it across the table. She looked down at it like it was a foreign object. What's this? Your next point of contact. I'm done negotiating with someone who changes the script mid-scene. Her fingers curled around the card, but she didn't pick it up. You're walking away? Just like that? I already did, I said, standing up. This is just the echo. I left her sitting there, sunlight catching her face just enough to make her look frozen, like she couldn't decide which expression to wear. I didn't turn back, didn't wait for a response. Let her stare at the card all she wanted. It didn't have my name on it, but it sure as hell had my decision. I didn't go back to the cafe. I went straight to the inn, tossed my jacket on the chair, and stood by the window for a long time. Wind pushed through the pine trees, the kind that made the whole room feel alive. That was it. The conversation. The last edit. I was done letting someone else crop the frame. I opened my laptop, pulled up the folder with the workshop piece, then opened another one with my shoreline shots. I stared at them, some raw, some rough, none of them marketable, but they were mine, real, no gloss, no angle. I texted Tessa. Me. You know a place that rents gallery space? She replied in under 5 seconds. Tessa. Yeah, and you're going to need white walls and nerve. An hour later, we were standing in a converted warehouse off Harbor Street. Exposed beams, dusty windows, peeling floor. But the lighting was clean, and the rent came weekly. The guy who ran it glanced through my images and nodded. "You've got a point of view. That's more than most." We booked it for Friday. The rest of the week blurred. Printing, matting, framing. Tessa worked beside me like we'd done this for years. No boss, no briefing calls. No one asking us to make it digestible for a target demographic. We named the show Unfiltered, straight to the point. No metaphor, no branding fluff. Friday came fast. Opening night started slow. A couple from Seattle wandered in. Then a retired teacher. Then 2 younger guys with DSLRs around their necks, asking real questions about composition and editing process. People stayed. They didn't skim the wall and bounce. They leaned in. They stared. A guy in his 50s asked me if one of the glitch pieces was about grief. A college student asked if she could take a photo next to the fishing boat shot. Prints sold, not fast, but steady. Tessa came over during a lull. "How's it feel?" "Strange." "Good strange," or "I want to hide in a supply closet," strange? I looked around the room. "Both." She grinned. "You'll live." Then I heard the laugh, familiar, smooth, cutting through the room like a wire. Darren. He strolled in holding a plastic cup of wine, like he owned the place, eyes scanning the walls. "Damn," he said, stopping in front of my digital deconstruction piece. "You actually did it." "You sound surprised." "Not surprised, just impressed. It's rare someone walks away from Miranda and comes out better instead of bitter." I shrugged. "I had some help." He raised his cup in Tessa's direction. "Clearly." Then he turned back to me, grin spreading. "By the way, your art's trending." I blinked. "Excuse me?" "Yeah, man. Some lifestyle account posted a clip from the show and tagged you. People are sharing it. Someone even called it emotionally violent in the best way." "That's weird." "That's traction." I folded my arms. "And let me guess, she saw it." "Oh, yeah." Darren laughed low. "She's furious. Already called one of the sponsors asking why your name's coming up again." I didn't flinch, didn't smile either. Let her rage, let her watch. Tessa leaned in and whispered, "Guess you just headlined your own story." I looked around the room. People still here, still looking, still asking. Not for Miranda, not for the brand, for me. I didn't feel like a ghost anymore. I woke up before my alarm. Room was still dim, but light was starting to push through the edges of the blinds. My bag sat open on the chair. I moved slow, folding clothes, stuffing chargers and notebooks into their pockets. No rush, just moving forward. I checked my phone once, out of habit. One unread message, no name, but I didn't need one. "Do you still love me?" Nothing else. No question mark. No apology, no explanation. I stared at it for maybe 5 seconds. Then I hit delete. Not block, not archive. Just gone, no hate in it, just done. Outside, the town was waking up. Boats rocked in the marina. A kid on a bike zipped down the sidewalk, backpack flapping. Somewhere up the road, a coffee grinder screamed to life. I slung the bag over my shoulder and walked. No plans. Just a few more steps on my own time. The cafe on Harbor Street was half full. No influencers, no brand reps, just locals. People who didn't need to post proof they existed. I ordered a black coffee and grabbed a blank sketchbook from the stand near the register. Cheap paper, thick spine. Exactly what I needed. Found a corner table, sat down, cracked it open. First page, clean and wide, no pressure. I wrote, "Leon Hayes, builder, not background." Then under it, I started listing things, not bullet points, just ideas. Shoreline series expansion, harbor light study, photo essay, what's left behind, gallery pitch, Seattle, artist residency maybe. The page filled fast. I wasn't writing a plan. I was writing possibility. Not recording someone else's story, just building my own. That evening, I walked the harbor path one last time, camera slung over my shoulder. The light was ridiculous. Warm, soft, gold bleeding into blue. Fishermen were wrapping up, stacking crates and rinsing down the docks. A busker played guitar near the ice cream shop, slow and gritty. Something older than both of us. I kept walking until I found the same bench I sat on that first morning. Back then, I was still wired to her orbit. Now, nothing pulled, nothing pushed. I sat. Watched the sun take its time slipping behind the water. The boats rocked gently, a few gulls cutting low across the pier. Then footsteps behind me, soft, not rushed. Tessa? She didn't ask if she could sit, just did. "You closing the loop?" she asked. Something like that. We sat in silence for a minute, not awkward, just quiet. She nodded toward the camera. "You get what you came for?" Still figuring out what that even means. She smiled faintly. "That's fair." I turned to her. "Thanks for not treating me like someone you had to fix." "I wasn't trying to," she said. "You were never broken, just out of frame." I didn't respond, just let that one settle. Then she said, soft but solid, "Most people spend their whole life cropped out of frame. You didn't." I looked out at the water again, then raised the camera, adjusted the focus. The docks, the boats. The sky cracked wide open. I took the shot. Click. Final. Tessa stood up. "Take care of yourself, Leon." "You too, Tessa." No hug, no big goodbye. Just a look. Eye to eye, level. Like two people who saw each other clearly and didn't need to say more. She walked back down the path. I stayed on the bench until the light dimmed and the breeze cooled off. Then I stood, turned toward the inn, and walked. Tomorrow, I'd fly out. But tonight, I was just Leon, not a partner, not a ghost. Just a man with his name on every page from now on.